Kaiju number eight's a hot topic still, right? People care about it, right? I got into Fortnite recently.
Hello?
A lot of the community's reactions kind of led me to believe one thing, which is that shonen isn't allowed to build anymore. I saw a huge outcry from a lot of people who were like, who even are these people? Oh my god, I've never read Kaiju number 8. I think that that's a problem with shonen at large right now, but that's neither here nor there. But it kind of got me thinking, is Kaiju number 8 even good? Because I remember reading it. It was maybe the third thing I read. I read first part 6, and then part 7, and then part 8. And then I think I jumped to One Piece straight after. And then Kaiju number 8. That was probably 3 years ago, maybe longer. I haven't been caught up in a while, so I decided to reread it and, formulate my own thoughts and see where I'm at on the series, and it's pretty good. Something I think deserves a lot of praise from it is that the humor might not be for everyone, and it might not hit the mark every time, but it's definitely more deserving of being called funny than something like Bleach, Dan, or even to an extent One Piece, where all the jokes are just, look at these perverted idiots, and look how much everyone's yelling at each other. And yeah, a lot of the Kaiju number 8 humor is them just kind of yelling at each other, but there's never a joke where it's just like, I'm a predator, I'm a predator. Something I think is a really bold choice for them is to make the main character a 32-year-old loser. I think that's admirable. I think a lot of the series' ideas at its core are kind of unique. The way it builds up its characters, a lot of its characters' archetypes aren't exactly unique. There's the strongest guy, the strongest girl, the other strongest girl, the strongest girl who's the daughter of the strongest guy, shit like that. They build on it in ways that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Without getting into spoiler territory, I think Shinomiya, the yellow zappy hair girl, is probably one of my favorite characters I've ever read throughout the course of a series. She's a lot of fun to see grow, and the way that she catches up in power is really cool. Kafka, the main guy, obviously having the kaiju powers, but also having some tricks of his own is like, that's it. It's not groundbreaking, it's nothing intensely original, but it's cool. But I'm gonna hit a kind of compliment sandwich here. When I originally read the series, I thought, wow, I like Reino because Reino's cool. On a reread, I don't know what the point of him is. The guy who wants to be second best and he's strong, and there's not really anything else to his character other than just he's a damn prodigy. And I'm not saying he has to be related to any big monster, like any big name in the kaiju like defense force. Oh, I'm from this the third secret clan from generations and generations they've never known, but I'm linked to them. But he only grows in moments where the story needs him to, so he can be really strong, and then he kind of fades back into the training zone. And it is just a little disappointing. All of the third division is kind of like that. Iharu is the guy with the mohawk. He doesn't even, no one grows on screen in this show. I think part of that is Weekly Shonen Jump just cannibalizing series that refuse to put out numbers instantly, but it's still not great when half the time you'll be reading and the next chapter will just start with, it's been 3 months since this thing, and it's like, whoa, okay, here we are, I guess. No one looks different, but people are just like stronger, like by a lot. Reino and Iharu are shown to have a very strong friendship, and Iharu gets Reino out of these really tough spots of his mental, and it's just like, I mean, why? Like, they shared a bath together, and then now they just really fuck with each other. Hoshina's the coolest part of the series. Everything he has going on and all of his fights, they're just so cool, man. Obviously, the art rules, the paneling is really fun. I love when I'm reading something and the next panel is just a huge thing. Like, it's allowed to just take up space because it's impactful or important or just cool looking. This particular artist does sometimes draw expressions that leave them feeling slightly unemotional at certain points. It's hard to describe. I can't really put my finger on it, and I don't really think I have a valid reason for feeling like this, but sometimes it just feels a little manufactured. And the story beats aren't anything incredible either. The best thing is just like the lore and the twists and turns with number 8 and number 9, and number 9's a really fun villain, but the actual story itself for the first like 4 major arcs, I guess you'd call them. It's just kind of Kaiju number 8 shows up at the end, saves everyone, and then he doesn't get found out until he does. And from then on, it's a little less, it's more of its own sort of thing. And something I really like is how the series flips it on you every single time. You're expecting every higher commander to be like a hard ass, to be like, oh, we can't trust this fucking kaiju character, but like they're all rooting for him because, they know he's a human. And even as you get higher and higher in the chain of command, you just see more and more how everyone's like, no, we trust you, dude, we fuck with you. And that's pretty cool. It's weird to not have a character that's just like a stand in the way, like you aren't meant to be part of this sort of thing. I talked about Kaiju number 9, and I do want to touch more on the actual monster design of the series because, oh my god, they knock it out of the park with a lot of these. Number 10 is super cool. He's just like this big guy who has like 4 eyelids open up. Number 9 is just like this weird, lanky, creepy, like he looks like an SCP mushroom thing. Number 8 himself looks so good. Why do you think they put him in Fortnite?
I know you look normal. Oh, okay.
Obviously the art's good, the designs are good. The series itself seems to be coming from a place of like, care, I want to write this. Everyone's weapons are like thought out. There's cool art of like base designs of most of their weapons, and everyone's suits end up looking really, really cool. Again, there is that problem with a lot of the characters being underdeveloped, and even the characters that are developed sometimes. It's a little shaky, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. A lot of the motivations are just, I want to be recognized. You don't really know everyone's motivation is that until you see that 2 women in a row are just like, oh, if only he would notice me. Which, like, I get it, because like that's everyone's thing, because the whole series is like humanity and working together and just wanting to be acknowledged, but it gets to a point. I talked about Kafka, Reno, and Shinomiya, and pretty much everyone, but there are like those Levi types, but all those characters end up usually existing only long enough that they're like, oh damn, this guy fucking rocks. Like the whole time through you see them. There's the guy with the dyed hair, if you know what I'm talking about, and Hoshina, obviously. There's Iseo, I think his name is, Shinomiya's dad. Every numbered monster has such an incredible design. I really care about kaiju. I don't have my room quite set up yet, but that's a Godzilla shelf in progress over there. Something that I think is a little goofy, but is just a product of the fact that I'm reading a manga for children. A lot of the time when someone comes in with a save or someone has a big moment, they always need to deliver a one-liner, and the one-liner is always usually them like reporting for duty or like heading out. And I mean, that's it is really, really good at what it's trying to be, and I think that's the main thing. I'm not gonna say anything for anyone who is only watching the anime and continues to only watch the anime, but current manga events are really, really cool. Really cool, actually. I wasn't expecting to be surprised by the series rereading it, but all of the recent developments in like the last 15 chapters have been really fucking cool stuff.
Oh, yes.
Sit on the sofa. Oh, there was a guy. You saw that guy out the window?
Oh.
There's a guy out the window. Oh, he's crawling. Oh, no.
Oh.
The only other gripe I could say I have with the series that I already kind of touched on is that the pacing is kind of breakneck. Like I said, there's those time skips that just happen, but also they don't need to. Like, I would have really preferred more chapters of characters just talking. I think more chapters of characters just talking could move this up like a tier of whatever I would consider it. Whenever a really strong emotional point happens between 2 characters during a battle, it's like, wow, cool. But I think if there was something more to that, like a conversation not just from a flashback that happened like 2 chapters ago, but like actually something that called back to like, they were training in the 3rd division together, and look at this conversation they had. That, like, stuff like that would be really, really cool. And I think that's why Shinomiya and Kafka work together so well. Kafka and Reino aren't together too much of the story, so whenever they're around, it's like, wow, this feels a little underdeveloped. And obviously there are just those issues where you can't have every character be as perfectly developed, so by the time you get to her, Ashiro doesn't feel as impactful as those characters like Hoshina or Shinomiya or even Kafka. But little gripes aside, the series is really good at what it wants to be doing. And the only point of me making this video is just to say that, yeah, it's not that bad. I think a lot of people rush to call things mid nowadays. What they mean by mid could either be dog shit, or people would consider mid dog shit, something like that. But I think it's important to just have these little series, you know? Like, not everything needs to be like a doom thought provoker. And I normally hate people who say like, oh, just turn your brain off and have fun with it. But like, the series is about kaiju, it's about big monsters. The action feels incredible from page to page, and the characters are really fun to watch in action. So if you are upset that the characters aren't developed as well, that's not really the author's problem. I don't really know where I'd place this on a hypothetical tier list of everything I've read. If I had to give it like a number rating, and I do want to clarify something. I think 5 out of 10 is like okay. Like that's actually middle of the ground. That's not a failing grade. I think if I had to give it a rating, it'd be like a 6, 7, 6.5 maybe, upper higher 6, 6.79, 6.793 out of 10, probably somewhere around that.